right, good afternoon. The time is 12:06, and I'll call this regular meeting of the Coppers Cove Economic Development Corporation to order. Joey, if you don't mind, leading the invocation in place today.
Okay, if you guys join me, bow your head and join me. Father, thank you for this opportunity to bring us together to go ahead and serve our community and hope to make our best decisions in helping our community grow here at the EDC meeting. In your name and grace, we pray. Amen. U.S. flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one, indivisible.
Brittany, will you call the roll?
Jay Jackson.
Here.
Joey Afaji.
Here.
Adam Martin.
Here.
Jonas Titus.
Here.
Jeremy Tate.
Here.
Diane Dressel.
Okay. All right, any announcements today?
Yes, we have quite a few. Friday, June 21st, 2019, Director Marcy Lowry resigned as the EDC Board Director. Thursday, June 27th, there's a business after-hours mixer from 5:30 to 6:30 at Event Health. Friday, July 12th, 2019, Coffee and Commerce, 8:30 to 9 a.m. at Chick-fil-A. July 18th, 2019, there's an Ambassador Bingo Night from 5 to 8 at Synergy Cinemas. July 22nd, there's a chicken dinner fundraiser from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. at Emmanuel Lutheran Church. And June 25th, the EDC Strategic Planning Meeting was held. And then we also have developer standards for the Narrows. As a reminder, development standards for the Narrows and Business and Technology Park were written to have a vision and standard for any development in the Narrows Business and Technology Park. Due to many transitions, the development standards were not approved and implemented. In April 2018, the development standards were presented to the Board of Directors. The decision at the point was the Board of Directors to make revision and get input on the standards. During the same period, then Interim Director Diane Dressel sent the development standards for the Narrows to the Director for the Building Department, Bobby Lewis. Bobby then forwarded to the relevant departments, Streets, Public Works, Fire, and Engineering. And with their input, changes were made. This will be reviewed with the Plat and Planning on July 2nd, and contingent on changes will be presented to the Board of Directors during the regular board meeting scheduled in July for approval. Also, the building on 201 South 2nd Street, the asbestos report came back as a non-detected. Burke, Sturt, and Site Prep, the company hired to do the demo building. Due to the heavy rains on June 24th, the mobilization has been postponed for a future date. And also, the EDC staff referred a buyer to the Industrial Foundation Park. Since then, the Industrial Foundation has constructed a new professional service building for the new business.
Could you repeat that last one?
The EDC staff referred a business to the Industrial Foundation Park, and now there is a new professional service building for that building.
Okay, it's in process now, or?
Jimmy Clark closed on a piece of property with a business that I had referred them to, and they will start construction soon. It's a chiropractor.
Okay. And what was the event at the movie theater?
So there will be an Ambassador Bingo Night, and that's from 5:30 to 8 at Synergy Cinemas.
Okay, thank you.
I got one. Go ahead and invite everyone. As you know, every July, the Marianas celebrates their annual liberation and independence from World War II. So on July 6th, the first Saturday of July, is the Marianas' liberation. It's going to be held in Belora, and the event starts at noon. So all are welcome. The Guam will be celebrating their liberation, and I've invited, they're doing it here in Ogletree Gap Park on July 20th, which is the third weekend in July. So I'll be bringing my, entertainment on my side of the house for all of it. So you guys are more than welcome to come.
Any other announcements? All right, moving into Citizens Forum. At this time, citizens will be allowed to speak on any matter other than personnel matters, matters under litigation, or matters on the regular agenda for a time not to exceed 5 minutes per person. 30 minutes total has been allotted for this section. Is there anyone wishing to speak at Citizens Forum today? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. All matters listed under this item are considered to be routine by the EDC Board of Directors and will be enacted by one motion. There will not be separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. There's only one item today. F1, consideration and action on approval of the minutes for the regular meeting held on May 22nd, 2019. What is the desire of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes for regular meeting held on May 22nd, 2019.
All right. Motion for approval by Jeremy
I'll second it.
and second by Joey. Is there any additional discussion on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Motion carries. Looks like we do not have a public hearing today, and we'll get right into the action items. So item H1, presentation and acceptance of the fiscal year 2018 annual financial report. Velia Key, Director of Financial Services.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. The audit was performed by Weaver and Tidwell. The partner in charge of the audit is Mr. Adam McCain, and he's here today to go over the highlights of the financial audit.
Fantastic.
Thanks, Philip, members of the board. Appreciate the opportunity to be here with you all today. Oh, perfect. Okay, very good. I'm going to shrink it down just a little bit so that they can see where we're going. I am here today to present the results of our audit for the year ended September 30, 2018. Be happy to answer any questions that you guys have, so feel free to stop me as we're going through if anything comes up. And so appreciate the opportunity to be here and talk to you today. What I'll do is I'll just kind of walk you through. I know you guys received this in advance and have had a chance to review it, so I'm just going to kind of walk you through the way the report's put together itself. I really won't even get into the numbers because I know that you guys stay up to speed on the numbers themselves throughout the year. So I'll just kind of show you what information is in here and kind of go from there. I'll go ahead and kind of skip to the meat and potatoes, and that is that we did issue an unmodified or clean opinion on the financial statements. We didn't have any findings or any internal control deficiencies or anything like that to report to you. So it is a clean report with respect to these financial statements this year. I'll kind of walk you through the way that your financial report's put together. So just kind of walking through the table of contents. The first thing that you'll see is going to be our report that is an unmodified clean opinion. And then after that, you have management's discussion and analysis, and that's really kind of a plain English discussion put together by management and put together by the finance staff that discusses the financial condition of the EDC, kind of comparing the results to the previous year. So that's a great place to start as you're looking through the financial statements. And then you have the actual basic financial statements themselves. As a governmental entity, you do present your financial statements in two separate ways. One, we call the government-wide financial statements, and that's kind of a presentation similar to if you were a business where you have all your long-term assets, any long-term liabilities, things like that are recorded. Then we have your fund financial statements, which is really the way that you guys budget, which is kind of the current resources focus, where we really only have current liabilities, current assets on the books. Past that, you have your footnotes, and then you do have some required supplementary information that includes a budgetary comparison schedule. And then we do issue a report on internal control. It's not an opinion on internal control, but it essentially says that we do gain an understanding of your internal controls. If we did identify any significant issues, significant deficiencies, material weaknesses, we are required to report those to you, and we did not note any. So you've got a clean report there as well. I'll scroll through just to show you what a couple of these things are. As we mentioned, starting on kind of page 1 there is the actual opinion itself. The key there at the bottom, in our opinion, they are stated in all material specs. So you do have a clean opinion. Moving into the management's discussion and analysis, this starts there on page 3. Goes through some, like I mentioned, financial highlights, kind of an overview. As I said, a great place to start just if you're kind of getting into the financial presentation itself. Skipping through that, you do get to your government-wide financial statements, and so again, here you can see total assets of those government-wide financial statements, about $6.7 million. Total liabilities about 1.8, giving you a net position of about $4.9 million at the end of the year. And then your, essentially the income statement, which is a government formatted income statement, so it looks a little bit different there. But again, you can see essentially a net income in that government-wide presentation of about $674,000 for the year. Then getting into the fund level presentation that starts on page 12, sure. You can see again, this is that kind of current resources model where you can see total assets of about 5.7 million, liabilities of only 82,000, giving you a fund balance of about $5.7 million at September 30th. And then that income statement that relates to that starts on page 14, where you can see total revenues of about $1.3 million for the year. Total expenditures of about $726,000 to give you that change of $634,000 that you see at the bottom. Your footnotes start after that. I won't go through those in detail. They should look very consistent with what you've seen in the past. You really didn't have any new accounting implications or standards adopted this year, other than technically you did adopt a standard related to other post-employment benefits, which is essentially health benefits for retirees. Technically, because your retirees do fall under the city's policies, you have adopted that. It has negligible impact, and there's some disclosure information in here, but as I mentioned, very, very negligible impact to you guys. Then past the footnotes, we run into, as I mentioned, the budgetary schedule. Let's see here, where you can see the difference between the original budget, final budget, and then your actual results for that for the general fund itself. And then we get into, at the very end, that internal control report that I mentioned, where we do essentially say we did not identify any internal control issues that we need to communicate to you. Be happy to answer any questions that you guys may have related to the financial presentation.
Any questions? I think we're good. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very
today.
much. I appreciate it. Thank you all.
All right. Item H2, discussion and consideration on submitting the fiscal year 2019-2020 proposed budget to. Action on the. Oh, excuse me. I got ahead of myself. Let's finish up item H1. What is the desire of the board?
Adam, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve H1 as presented.
Motion for approval by Joey,
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to take this second.
second by Jay. Is there any additional discussion on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Motion carries. And now, action item H2. Discussion and consideration on submitting the fiscal year 2019-2020 proposed budget to the City of Coppers Cove City Council on July 2nd, 2019. Jonas Titus, Executive Director, Coppers Cove EDC.
Hello, everyone. Long time no see. Thank you all for your attendance and participation yesterday. I think we had a really, really good event. We received a lot of positive feedback. We were pushed off the top of the front page of the paper today for some minor news, but we'll just be that as it may. Yeah. But anyhow, we did miss a deadline in drafting and preparing this budget. We technically should have done it last month. But with me coming to staff and coming to speed with a lot of the programming and the costs, it made more sense for us to do it this month rather than last month. But we missed a deadline with City Council to hit the 90 days. But we're working with Ryan, and we'll make that announcement next at the early July council meeting, and that shouldn't be a problem at all. But with that being said, our budget is fairly straightforward, and we'll talk about our organization. So here's kind of crafting. This is still in process, but this is the beginning of kind of what we worked on yesterday, crafting our mission statement to help create and retain primary jobs, encourage investment, and enhance our quality of place. This is still a work in process, but we'll have at it, and we'll have something for you next month. But The budgetary process and how this works is the EDC was established in 1990 by a action by the voters that adopted the half-cent sales tax to create a 4A economic development corporation. In November 2016, a portion of that was reassigned, but we still retain 3/8 of a cent of the half-cent sales tax. We prepare an annual budget that is approved by both our board and council. Our bylaws require me to present the budget to the board of directors 90 days prior to its adoption. We submit that budget to city council prior to the beginning of each fiscal year for final review and adoption. So this budget must be adopted by the end of September, and we are on schedule to have it done by early September. Getting into the budget right now, looking at our cash flow, we are projecting revenues of about $1.4 million next year. Our operating expenditures are going to be about half that at $629,000. This includes our the EDC being fully staffed. The budget from last year adopted was created with 5 positions in mind. We're very confident that we can accomplish the goals that we are going to set forth and those that we discussed yesterday with our staff of 3. We are going to reevaluate our job descriptions and responsibilities, and there may be some adjustments, but those are also included in this budget. But that helps us be a leaner, more efficient staff, and also provides for resources for a lot of the major projects and impacts that we want to have for the community moving forward. And kind of look at the nuts and bolts of the budget. You have the full detail in front of you, and we would be happy to go through this in greater context if you would prefer. But looking at last year's adopted budget, the projected year end, and the proposed budget moving forward, just wanted to point out a couple highlights. The projected year end, those 2 red areas, those are one-time expenditures. Significantly was one that was the hiring and of the executive director. So I guess I am classified as a supply according to the way that the budget is coded. And maintenance and repairs, that includes the demolition of the 2nd Street property. We are having an increase in contractual services. This goes to a lot of the projects that we are now, or resources that we are now responsible for as far as maintenance and mowing of the narrows. The city previously had provided those services for us. And our non-departmental program expenditures on the bottom right, that includes a lot of the tools that were discussed yesterday. That's we want to bolster our website, some of the strategic planning documents for labor analysis, for our website upgrades, for our tools for our mapping software, for our demographic databases that we want to buy licenses to. All of those are included in that piece. And we also still are carrying over the $2 million placeholder for a potential land swap project and a one-time DEAG grant for $500,000. So the large text in the middle, you'll see the administrative costs last year, projected year end, and where we see us this next year. So with that summary, we will have the one-time costs coming off the budget for this past fiscal year for the director search and the 2nd Street facility demolition. We have the increases in contractual services due to maintenance of EDC resources. Our budget does include our proactive site selector outreach, development of tools and resources discussed yesterday. But one thing that we definitely need to be cognizant of and have to be very, very proactive on this next year is creating a plan for potential asset acquisition and development and impacts on future budgets and fund balances. We have been very, very prudent in developing the resources that we have for major investments. And now we need, as we're getting closer and we see that's becoming a priority and a ripe time to embark on a couple of these major projects, we just need to be careful that we're doing this the right way. So, with that, any questions that you have?
Any questions? All right, thank you, Jonas. I don't think we have any questions. So do we need to take action on this?
Yes.
What's the desire of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the proposed budget for the July 2nd, 2019.
Motion for approval by Jeremy,
I'm going to second that.
second by Joey. Is there any additional conversation on this one, discussion, rather?
Hold
All
on, we may not need a motion. We're just getting your okay to take this to council, I think is how the mechanics of this work.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think approve is the way it was worded. I think that's correct?
For the July, it's approved to go to the July second.
Yes, yes.
We're not approving the budget, it's approved to go to this.
To the city council.
Okay.
Remember last year, it goes to the meetings for a couple times, because that way it gives you all
Oh,
a chance
okay.
to make any
Yep.
changes. Once council sees it, they make changes.
And
It won't fully
readings
get
for public
adopted.
input, yeah.
So
Right,
if,
and it's gotta go through public hearings, and also that way that it's not truly adopted until our August meeting, the September meeting for,
But it's a move,
Sounds
approved to
great.
move forward in the
Okay,
process.
so Jeremy, would you like to go ahead and amend it?
Yeah, I'd like to make an amendment that, I'd like to make a motion that we approve for it to go ahead and go forward to present on July the 2nd, 2019 to City Council.
And I'll second that.
Okay. Is there any additional discussion on this item?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Motion carries. Item H3, consideration and action on approving the unaudited financial report of the Coppers Cove EDC for the month of May 2019. Velia Key.
Thank you, sir. So the highlights of the financials for the month of May are that the total cash available at the end of May 31st was $6.1 million. That was divided the portfolio on, divided the portfolio on 10% allocated to the operating account and 90% allocated to the textbook account. If we compare the portfolio how it was performing a year ago, the total amount of cash available was $5.5 million, and we are, as of May 31st, $6.1 million. Year-to-date, revenues exceeded the expenditures by $661,713. The total allocation of the sales tax was in the amount of $124,723. The total amount of interest earned during the month of May were $11,617. And the total operating expenditures was in the amount of $39,904 for the month. For the entire year to date, the total expenditures are at $293,474, and that provide us with a ending fund balance of $6,362,509. Does the board has any questions that I can answer at this time?
Any questions? Thank you, Velia. What's the desire of the board?
Adam, I'll go ahead and move to approve H3 as read.
Motion by Joey,
I'll second that.
second by Jeremy. Is there any additional discussion on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Motion carries. Item H4, consideration and action on authorizing the release of funds to the city of Coppers Cove for charges to the Coppers Cove EDC for services rendered as agreed upon by various city employees for the month of May 2019. Key.
Thank you, sir. So the invoice for the month of May is in the amount of $698.13. It also outlines how many hours each staff member for the finance department and the IS department work during the month of May.
Any questions?
Sir. No?
Thank you, Velia.
Thank you.
Thanks, Billy.
What's the desire of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we authorize the release of funds to the city of Coppers Cove for services rendered for May 2019.
Okay, motion for approval by Jeremy,
I'll second it.
second by Joey. Is there any additional discussion on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Motion carries. All right, today we don't have any reports from staff, outside entities, or advisory committees. Do we have any items for future agendas? Hearing none, we'll move into executive session. Pursuant to subsection 551.087 of the Texas Government Code, the Economic Development Corporation Board will meet in executive session for discussion regarding the offer of a financial or other incentive to a business prospect referenced as Project Coral. And then the second item is the same, pursuant to subsection 551.087 of the Texas Government Code, the Economic Development Corporation Board will meet in executive session for discussion regarding the offer of a financial or other incentive to a business prospect referenced as Project Bullwhacker. The time is now 12:32, and we will adjourn into executive session.
Say all that 3 times fast.
Yeah.
That sound like a phone call.
Yeah, I do like it. All right, the time is 1:04, and we'll reconvene into the regular session. No action was taken in executive session. The time is 1:04, and we are now adjourned. Thank you.